test. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Any style. I like it all. I know it sounds kind of vague, but it's the truth. Any style. I like everything. Ah, nice. Y'all, this this flu is I still got a little uh oh whatever whatever's of the flu remnants. I feel like now it's like here and here and here. It's like going back and forth and back and forth. Like it's wild. I hate it. I hate being sick. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? That was a song back in the day. Do you know what I mean? Oh, do you know what I mean? That's an old song. I just saw yesterday. That was the dumbest song. It was catchy, but it was stupid. Do you know what I mean? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, do you know what I mean? That song was, come on, man. Sorry, y'all. Yo, I lost weight. I was 209. I weigh. Last I checked, I weigh. Last I checked, I was like even. I was like even 200. Well, I was 200 and like a few ounces. And that was like day before yesterday. So I know I lost weight since. I've lost more weight since then. I don't know. This flu stuff is killing me. It really is, and it's a pain in the neck because I'm too weak to play. But I want to play. You know. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. My other interface, it ain't on for some reason. All right, let's figure this out. What's going on? What is happening? I need my glasses. I need my glasses. I need my glasses. I'm blind as a bat. Oh, I'm blind as a bat. There we go. I like the snare. I like it, but um, as the main snare, nah. There's a little bit left. Hanging around. I know. And Davis, he's next. Um, Davis has a thing that he gotta go to tomorrow. It's at the school. What do you call it? I'm like, I got money for a lift there. Well, it was in an email. It was in an email. That distracted me. What was I thinking of? Oh, that's what I'm gonna change the snare. I don't listen to Linkin Park. If they did stuff like that for Linkin Park, I'd listen to it. They don't. That I don't listen to Linkin Park. It's like YYZ at 78. I don't. I'm not like a musical snob. I just listen to stuff that I learn stuff that challenges me. And I'm not, like stuff like Linkin Park. I'm not into that. It's not into it. I'm not knocking their music. They're just not my. I don't listen to them. Evidently they've done something right. They're a legendary band. You know what I mean? But I don't listen to them. There's a lot of bands that are legendary bands that I just don't listen to. You know, so yeah. Oh yuck! I just don't have the energy, man. I'm like beat. This fever is killing me. All the flu, anyway. 2 points. That's not it. Sloppity sloppy. That's not it. I don't know any Judas Priest. Sorry, don't know any Judas Priest. Um, I know stuff like Screaming for Vengeance and stuff like that, but I don't know the drums. The I don't like. There's certain stuff that I listen to, but drums isn't what I listen to. Like I listen to rap. I'm not learning anything on drums. You know what I mean? So what I listen to and what I actually learn to kind of get better or it's a challenge, it's kind of two different things. Um, like Van Halen. I love Van Halen. I'm not learning any Van Halen. I'm not learning any Van Halen drums. Um, Now I could literally sing to you every solo Eddie Van Halen plays, and some of the solos because I start off as a guitarist. Some of the stuff I can play, some Van Halen stuff I can play. Um, Chili Peppers. I also play bass. A lot of stuff Flea plays, I can play, but I don't listen to it for drums. I love Chad Smith, but he's not a guy that I'm kind of studying to learn his licks and stuff. So there's stuff that I listen to for drums, and there's stuff that I listen to for everything else, and the two don't mix. You know what I mean? So that's why, like a guy asked if I knew Linkin Park. I listen to it. I don't learn it. Like I'm not gonna play it because that's not stuff that I learn. I don't listen to it to learn it. I just listen to it because I might like it or whatever. Like Guns N' Roses. I love Guns N' Roses. I couldn't tell you what is being played. And in terms of drums. Now I can actually play some of Slash's solos. I love Slash's guitar playing. There are very few situations where I listen to it for drums, bass, guitar, and piano. And most of the time, it's either jazz or fusion. But like anything rock, unless it's like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, or like I learned like Zeppelin, Zeppelin one, two, three, Houses of the Holy. You know, every you know it's- their whole catalog. I learned their whole catalog because Bonham was a guy I wanted to learn. You know, um, Hendrix, Mitch Mitchell was an incredible drummer. What? This is goofy. They got some goofy stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of AI foolishness. Um, but there's certain stuff I listen to. Like for instance, there's a guy, Alan Hallsworth. If you're a guitarist, you know who he is, or at least you should know who he is. He's the guy that Eddie Van Halen said, "No, I'm not the best. He's the best." Eddie Van Halen was crazy about this. He was a fanatic of Alan Hallsworth, um, like a straight up fanatic. Like Eddie, and you'll just go on YouTube and just put Eddie Van Halen, Alan Hallsworth. You know, but Alan Hallsworth was at such a level, bro, of his playing. Like he changed the face of guitar. You know, and a guy playing at that level only gets the best drummers. He only gets the best bass players. He only gets the best keyboardists. You know. Now his music, I'll listen to it for everything. His bass players are ridiculous. His drummers are ridiculous. His keyboard players are ridiculous, and he's a ridiculous, like once in a thousand years. Like you know what I mean? The guy's incredible. You know. But a lot of like stuff that's like pop. I don't learn it. You know. Like unless I'm doing like a corporate gig, and even then, like I haven't done a corporate gig about 15 years. Yeah, I don't. That's where you put on the tuxedo and you're like playing all the pop tunes, for the corporate gigs and stuff. And you put on a smile. You know, I don't. I don't do the. Oh my goodness, this dude is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Never mind. I'm not gonna go there. Um, but anyway, yeah. So, like now, I play. Just the certain things I can. Or I like Ginger Baker. No, I love Jack Bruce and I love Eric Clapton. But I'm gonna say something, and some of y'all might get offended. Ginger Baker was trash. So what? He played hours long drum solos. The guy from Inagata Devita played like an hour long, whatever. He played in ridiculous drum solo, like ridiculously long. You know what I mean? Um, so Ginger. I'm sorry, man. Ginger Baker was trash. Ginger Baker is famous based off of Eric Clapton and Jack Bruce. You know what I mean? Like people would check. People would check him more for Mitch Mitchell than Ginger Baker. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people out there. Oh, that's sacrilegious. No, it's the truth. He was a bum. He wasn't a bum, but he wasn't all that, man. He kept time, and he was kind of imaginative, but he wasn't doing anything different, man. He, he wasn't the first guy with a double with double bass. Billy Cobham was doing that. Louis Bellson was doing it in the 40s. You know what I mean? So he just was. He was at the right place at the right time, and he had just enough talent to kind of propel Cream where it wanted to go. But Mitch Mitchell was that dude. Mitch Mitchell was 17 years old, and he was the house drummer for the BBC, like the little TV shows. You 17-year-old kid, bro. He was a hired gun at 17. And you can hear like he was a jazz drummer playing rock and roll. Why do you think after Band of Gypsies, he told Buddy Miles, "I love you, but you gotta go," and he got Mitch. He got just before he died, he put Gypsy Suns and Rainbows, and Mitch was in there because Mitch was a better drummer, bro. Mitch was an incredible drummer. Um, so um, even like um, I like I like Dave Matthews. I don't know any Dave Matthews. You know, um, because I'm gonna say this. I think Carter Beauford was good, but I think if you've heard Carter Beauford, if you've heard Dennis Chambers, you've heard Carter Beauford. If you're a drummer, you know what I'm talking about. If you've heard Dennis Chambers, you've heard Carter Beauford. Like, he even looked like Dennis Chambers. Like, yeah. So it's kind of like, and I know that's sacrilegious, but if you're a drummer, it's you know. If you know, you know. Carter Beauford was a Dennis Chambers clone, and I was listening to Dennis Chambers when he was with Parliament and Funkadelics in the '70s, and I was like maybe 11 or 12. So it's no, that doesn't mean I don't like the band and I don't like what he did for the band. He just definitely suited the band, but it's like hearing a fake Neil Peart and being like, "Oh, he's good." No, why would I listen to him when I can listen to Neil? Harvey. Harvey's like one of the guys. He's like the whole master of the linear style. There's a song he did. I think it's like 3 a.m. It's him, Jocko, and Herbie Hancock. That's a ridiculous. That whole album, though. That's Mr. Gone. That's from the Mr. Gone album. That's difficult. That's all Harvey Mason. But the thing with Harvey Mason is it's deceptively difficult because it stops becoming about the notes and it starts to becoming about playing the rests and the and making sure your subdivisions are like if you don't have the subdivisions that you're playing, if they're not sounding, if they're not precise, the whole Harvey Mason linear style, it falls apart. It's really difficult. It requires like a really accurate touch, accurate but relaxed, and that's difficult. What? Oh, stop. YouTube got a lot of like. Oh wow. Leave A. Tunnel under LA. What's going on? Sorry, y'all. I keep it's a habit, man. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying not to burp into the mic. Which is disgusting because it makes my mic like ugh. Would you say can I play? I'm all right. I mean, I'm all right. Play a little, you know. Got a whole lot of work, but I'm all right. Sorry, sorry. Oh, oh, that would not have been good. Yo, Cali was getting their hustle on. They had a bunch of tunnels under LA and they were like moving bootleg liquor. What? That's why Cali is so wild. And they had like integrated speakeasies. LA had it going on. Yeah, they had like integrated like speakeasies. I guess. Yeah. Drinking don't have a race, so makes sense. And this, wow. I guess the black folks, white folks, Latino folks had everything in common. Well, something in common. Liquor, getting drunk, and wanting to party. All right, enough about this. Wow. LA was wild. That's why it's so wild. What? Oh. I gotta see this. I gotta see this. That's like one of my favorite grooves. One of my favorite grooves. Yo, that's a great foot exercise. Just this. I don't know if any of you guys are drummers. I'm assuming you are. Thomas Pridgen. Well, actually, I didn't get it from Thomas Pridgen. I just started doing it because I got tired of having a slow foot. And I saw an interview with Thomas Pridgen. He was like, yeah, I would sit there and, you know, eat bowls of cereal and just watch TV, or I would sit there and just do this. You guys know how Thomas is. And I just watched TV until my calf was like burning. That's how Thomas talks. I keep leaving this mic on. I hate it because I don't like how it sounds through a phone when you leave this mic on, but I keep forgetting to turn it off. I don't want to, well, it doesn't matter. But I heard an interview about, they asked this guy who plays drums, what's the difference between like a rock feel, a jazz feel, an R&B feel, gospel feel, and R&B, an R&B feel and a gospel feel is pretty much the same. Well, it depends. This is more R&B. This is more modern R&B. This is more gospel feel. That's more of a gospel feel. It's got that bouncy. It's got the bounce. The jazz feel, it's almost like the R&B feel, only a little more ahead of the beat. Rock is this. Or or you know, um, and I'll say this: the easiest is a rock feel because it doesn't really require feel. It's just you play. Whereas the other ones it requires a lot of refinement and it takes years, you know, to kind of develop. And it's easier to go from other genres to rock than it is from rock to other genres. And I can say that from personal experience because I went from rock. I started playing punk and metal and all that stuff, and it took me years to develop a semblance of like R&B or jazz or gospel or anything like that. It took years. It's easier. I mean, I hate to say it, because rock is kind of like my first love. But it is easier to play rock than to play a lot of other stuff. And unless you're playing a really, really... And what's coming out is a lot of rock drummers are exposing those guys for editing. So it's not even real. You'd be surprised. A lot of those guys, like I'm kind of 50-50 on triggers. Like I hear a lot of guys, triggers is cheating. And I can kind of see that. But I can also see the other side as them being tools, editing tools. They're just editing tools. I could see that. But the problem with that is if you can play it in the studio, you should be able to perform it live. And I say that because one of the things now in the drum community is a lot of rock guys, specifically rock and roll guys, are playing to tracks. They're not even playing the music because of triggers and because of if you're used to dealing with, DAWs, digital audio workstations, you have beat correction. So if you sound sloppy, they could just clean it up in the mix and literally press a button and snap to grid everything you did. And it depends on you could put an extreme snap to grid or you could put it like kind of sort of snap to grid. So you could kind of make it so it's like, beat detection is there, but there's just enough human authenticity to make it feel real. But then when you see them in concert, they just can't pull it off, bro. Jazz, whenever you hear jazz, ain't no tracks, bro. You play live to recording. When you're in studio, and I know this because I've done it, the only thing they have is and some people don't even use click tracks. I've had it where I've had to have click tracks. Nobody else hears it. I hear it. They're all listening to me. And we're playing live in studio. One take, no nothing. Everything is live. Everything is one take from start to finish. A lot of rock guys can't do that. They just can't. I'm just, and it may hurt the feelings of a lot of you guys, but just go on YouTube and, and like there are a lot of drummers are getting exposed. A lot of rock guys are getting exposed because they can't pull it off live. Gospel guys are the reason why gospel drummers exploded is because gospel music is the most demanding music you could possibly play. They ask you to play like Jesus on drums. They want you to play like a combination of Neil Peart, John Bonham, Buddy Rich, Dennis Chambers, and Jesus Christ on drums. And you better pull it off. Because if you don't, there's a 12, 13-year-old kid waiting to take your place. And you got to play it live. You got people. You got a church, and they're looking at you. They're clapping their hands. So you missed the one. Everybody's looking at you. So you are. It's when you join a gospel group, it's musical boot camp. It is. It's like I remember I say this because that's how I felt and I thought it was just me until I talked to other guys. They're like, yeah, it's like boot camp. Sometimes you gotta pull audibles. The, the band director might be like, well, we gonna play blah 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 blah. You don't know blah 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 blah, but you better figure it out. He's gonna count it off. You know, on the spot. Or you'll get a text when the service is running. You will get I've done this. I still get it. I play for the church I belong to. There's times when we play audibles, I'll get a text and like we'll play the first song and we go sit down or whatever. And somebody might like something might happen and the preacher might be he might pull our band director over to the side and be like, hey, can you guys play so and so and such and such? We haven't rehearsed that. Some of us don't even know it, but you know what? You better figure it out, and it better sound right. You know what I mean? I've been on tour with rock bands. I've played in jazz bands. There's no situation like that. The closest thing I've been to like that was when I went into the New York music scene because I just wanted to start playing jazz. And it was musical boot camp. It was they church was a lot nicer. Put it that way. They were a lot nicer. They would straight up tell me, man, look, we could literally pay a crackhead from Spackle Bucket playing crackheads in the subway, panhandling to play pocket. Play pocket. Like, straight up, they don't care. They don't, man, look, they don't care. You know what I mean? So, I think, yeah. You know, rock is like, you know, it's the easiest entry level that you can, I hate to say it, but it is. You know what I mean? And I'll say this, you know, the good, like, you notice the rock drummers, like, the good bands, like Rush, great drummer. Um, um, Who was that? Van Halen. Alex Van Halen is a great drummer. Sorry, he's a great drummer. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, but trust me, he was a good drummer. Try playing his stuff. Um, um, Neil Peart, great drummer. Carl Palmer, great drummer. Stuart Copeland, great drummer. You know what I mean? The greatest bands have great drummers. You know, Bill Ward, Black Sabbath, great drummer. You know what I mean? Um, but like rock, you can kind of get away with it, man. You can get away with being kind of mediocre. Like I came up during a Lars Ulrich era, and they were like, I can't remember who was their producer when they were on Megaforce Records out of Saddlebrook, New Jersey, which is like the next town away from where I grew up. And I remember, I'm gonna tell a little story. I remember when I'm that old. I remember when the Metallica was signed to Megaforce Records out of Saddlebrook, New Jersey. I was living in Belmar, which is a beach town. It's like a beach resort town in New Jersey. They were literally the house band. They would be house bands. Like, they would be house parties, and they were like the house band. You know, playing for, like, beer. Like, you know, it was them. And Anthrax was bigger than Metallica back then. Anthrax was bigger. And then Metallica, I think Epic bought out their contract. They did Ride the Lightning with Megaforce. They did Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. Those were on Megaforce Records. After that, they Epic bought out their contract under Megaforce, and they just exploded. But those first two albums, man, they were like this was before Ride the Lightning was out, man. They were like the house band. It was nothing to see them. I never really talked to them because I was like, whatever. I was probably too drunk, you know. This guy's lisp is killing me. But yeah, so I could tell you some stories. I could tell you when I saw Van Halen. Live. I saw them at the Asbury Park Hall Convention Center. Asbury Park Convention Center or Convention Center Hall, whatever. It's an old building. Old. When I say old, like Teddy Roosevelt, Grover Cleveland, um, that old. Um, but a lot of it was kind of retrofitted and all that. They put a stage on there. They put a drop ceiling. Well, Van Halen played, and literally, this was their first. They were opening up with. They were opening up for Sabbath, and I didn't. I had Van Halen one, and I didn't like it at all. In retrospect, it was just over my head. Like the playing on that album was so advanced. I was like, what? That's what it was. I love it now. They're one of my favorite bands, Van Halen. But back then, man, I didn't, like my stepfather had gotten like the record in the mail. You got the record clubs. They sent Joe Sample and they sent Van Halen. I love Joe Sample because it was jazz, and it was just like clink, 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 clink. It was kind of nice, and it's a classic album. Both of those albums are classic albums, though. A Joe Sample album and Van Halen one. I saw some dude jumping in the air, tight pants, and I was like, what the heck is going on? You got to think there's no social media. We don't know what's going on in California. We don't know what's going on. So we don't know how they're dressing. We don't know nothing. I'm like, it was just like polished, and I was like, So when I heard it, I was like, But when I saw it live, bro, it was. They were playing so hard, like the vibrations were knocking the drop ceiling. The drop ceiling tiles were falling out of the ceiling. That's like they were murdering. Like it was ridiculous. I was like, oh, now I get it. After that, I was like, oh my goodness. I like devoured everything. I looked through magazines and put Eddie Van Halen posters up and Alex Van Halen. Like, I went crazy. I was like a Van Halen fanatic, which was ironic because at that time I was just switching from playing guitar to playing drums. And there weren't a lot of good drummers, but there were pretty good guitarists back then. So I ended up playing drums because I became the de facto drummer because I was the only one who could actually play good enough to play in a band. So I just started playing I started playing because of this. I started off playing guitar. At first I was a Kiss fanatic. I used to love Kiss. I used to love Ace Frehley, all of that stuff. And then from there, I got into Clapton, and I got into Page, and I got into Hendrix, and I got into Jeff Beck, and you know what I mean? Peter Frampton, and sorry, I'm trying to stop burping in the mic. It's not polite, but I looked like Steve Urkel with really, really bad acne. I really did. So I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be the cool guy. And I thought drums were cooler than guitar. So I was at my friend Ron. I tell this story all the time. I was at my friend Ron Cochranzati's house. And I was like maybe 13, And I was actually, looking back, I was actually pretty good on this guitar. I had a red ES335 with a broken tremolo system. I found it, and I just put strings on it and started playing and stuff like that. And I got really good. Actually. But my man Ron Cochranzati, Darren Rourke, and Charlie Malik, they had a trio, and they would do like Zeppelin covers and stuff like that. And Ron was like the cool dude in school, he was like the cool dude. So you know, I lied, because I want to be cool. So I lied, said, yeah, I play drums. They were like, yeah. I said, yeah, I play drums. I was like maybe 13. Yeah, it's like 13. Um, so then they were like, cool. So I was like, somebody's going to ask me. They're going to call my bluff. They're going to ask me to join their band. So I got like Tupperware bowls. Remember Tupperware? I got Tupperware bowls and I got boxes. And remember the hangers? They had the cloth hangers. They had the wire on the ends and it had a piece of wood, a thin piece of wood. I raided my mom's closet, stole a bunch of her hangers, took the wood. I know my mom's like, that's where my hangers went. She still don't know. But I stole a bunch of them, and those are my drumsticks. And I learned how to play like that. And then I got fairly decent. My friends would come over, and they'd be like, man, you're pretty good. You need a drum set. And my boy Tommy Morris, he played drums, but he was like, I ain't got time for it. So he gave me his drum set. So I had a black CB 700 little 5-piece of trash. Saved my money, got some cymbals, some cambers, which were trash. They were dirt cheap, though, but they were trash. And I just kept playing drums and playing drums. And I just didn't want to be exposed as a liar. So I hyper-focused. And I just was like, okay, I'm going to start learning jazz and then incorporate it. Because if I learn jazz, surely I could play rock. That was my thinking. And I actually ended up having an advantage because people would be like, dude, you're so good. Where are you getting this stuff from? I never told them. I was pulling from jazz and just putting it in rock. But that's another subject. Well, yeah, that's how I started playing drums, to uphold a lie that I told my friends. So right now, you're seeing the years of upholding a lie. That's really what this is. I've been upholding a 4-decade lie, 4.5, 5-decade lie. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's funny, man. It's wild, bro, because I'm telling you, and the thing is, I was so obsessed with not being found out as a liar. I was like, it'll be the end of my social life. So by 15, I was ripping Neil Peart solos. Like, that's no exaggeration. That's no lie. That's no. And not only that, by 17, I had learned every Rush album from Fly By Night. No, 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 no. I had learned every album from Fly By Night to Moving Pictures. And then when I got really good, I was learning like more punk and stuff like that. But I learned everything from Moving Pictures. When I say everything, Exit Stage Left, All the World's, everything up to Chutes and Ladders. There's a lot of albums. I learned every Zeppelin album, even the Logs. I don't know if you ever heard of the Logs. There was a group that Bono was in and Jimmy Page was in. They came out with one album. They're called the Logs. But yeah, it's a very obscure album. I don't even know if you can find it anymore. And there was a store. This is back in the vinyl times. There was a store where they sold, of course, vinyl, but like places like Sam Goody and all of that stuff. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember Sam Goody, but you would go buy vinyl and you buy sheet music. That's how I learned how to play sheet music. I bought the sheet music to Moving Pictures, and I knew everything note for note. So I just read it, and I was like, oh, that's what that means. Oh, that's what that means. And I just it's kind of I reverse engineered it because had already learned the stuff. Then I did that with Zeppelin, and I did it with Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I did it with Yes. But yeah, I learned a bunch of Yes albums, all of Zeppelin, all of Hendrix, most of Van Halen, a lot of Van Halen, I learned like the guitar parts. I love Alex, but you know, and he was good, but my mind was like, kind of somewhere else at the time. Um, I learned, of course, Sabbath. Um, I learned Ozzy. I learned Sabbath when Carmine Apiece and Ronnie James Dio was in the band. Um, I learned all of Dio. The second Dio album was horrible. The first one was Holy Diver. That's a classic album. R.I.P. Ronnie James Dio. Um, I learned I learned so much stuff, man. I learned so many albums. Oh, but the music store. There was like a mom and pop music store, and they would sell, the regular vinyls, but they would also sell bootlegs. What dudes would do, say if I'm the sound man, what this is what sound men would do. They would get these gigs where, yeah, you're doing sound for such and such, this such and such major artist like Rush or Van Halen or Alice Cooper or you know what I mean, like whoever, whatever, whoever. Well, what they would do is they would like record from the board. You record like the whole show from the board, and they would have these tapes. They would have board tapes, and they would go to back then you could go to a place that presses vinyls, and they would press up a bunch of vinyls, and they would sell them to stores. Um, and so, like, it was interesting because the Neil Peart solos, you heard the evolution of his solos. You heard, like, different parts he got over here, different parts he got over there. So by the time he got to, like, exit stage left, you're like, oh, that's where that comes from. That's where this comes from. So, yeah, like, I learned all the bootlegs. I don't know where all that vinyl is. I had a bunch of bootleg vinyl. Um, So, I was learning reggae, and like, for instance, I started learning about the police. Well, I can't say that, because I was into reggae before then. I was young. I was like maybe 12 or 13 when Bob Marley died. I think I was like 76. No, I was like 11 when Bob Marley died. I remember there was a big write up about it. Yeah, I was like 13. I was like 11. Yeah. Um, but so I was into reggae. My grandmother was into like the Mighty Sparrow and guys like that. Which is it's like Jamaican music. It's dance hall music basically. It's like old school dance hall music. It's like which became ska. You know, um, but I learned a lot of stuff, man. So, but that my point is that was all in the hopes of not being found out as a liar. So right now this is a lie. You know, this is all the result of a lie I had to uphold. So yeah, Danny Carey, you sure he's a jazz guy? Because I'm a jazz guy. I've never seen him play jazz. And I'll say this: what a lot of people call jazz isn't jazz. It's not jazz. A couple jazz kind of ish riffs That's not jazz. That's, you do some jazz licks. And I'm saying this because I did that. I thought I knew jazz. I didn't know jazz. I knew jazz licks until I moved to New York and I got in the New York jazz scene and they were like, "You don't know jazz. You don't know what you're talking about. Get out of here." So, yeah. A lot of what you think is jazz really isn't jazz. Oh yeah. Look for a friend. Oh man. It's hard to sing and play. Lights, camera, action. That album was like the funkiest album. That was their peak. 1984, nah. Dive Her Down, nah. Nah. The first four Van Halen albums are the best ones. Van Halen 2, Women and Children First, Fair Warning. Anything after that, nah, man. Now there there are spots of brilliance. Like Diver Down has like little guitars and it has cathedral, but all that big bad Bill is Sweet William now. Ain't nobody trying to hear all that. I mean, that's Dave style, you know, and all that dancing in the street. The only reason why I like that is because I like what Eddie did. Um, 1984, which came out in '85, which was weird. I remember that. Um, 1984, I think Hot for Teacher was a good pop song, but it was clever, and it was total Van Halen, but it just wasn't, I think Panama was a better song. And there's another song. It's I can't remember. I remember on the vinyl it was on the second side. I think it was the last song on the second side. That song was insane. Um, to be honest, I like a lot of the stuff that he did with Sammy Hagar, that they did with Sammy Hagar, more than I like 1984. Um, yeah, I didn't like 1984. It was just like I feel like the fire was gone. The David Lee Roth fire, that was gone. Um, I feel like when Sammy Hagar joined the band, Eddie got that new direction of going, and music it sounded better. It was cleaner and it was a more polished, more pop sound. But it was a sound that nobody heard Eddie play, man. I liked it, man. I liked it, you know. Eddie writes good songs, man. So sorry guys, my battery's going dead. My phone battery is going dead. Sorry. Which means I'll probably bounce on out of here, charge my phone, and come back on stream.